Hi, my name is Becky Draper, and today's yoga class we're going to talk about the three different bonds or the three different locks that we talk a lot about in yoga, and I'll show you what they are and why we use them. So the first lock is the navel lock, and it's called Mula bond, and then the second lock is the heart lock, and that is called Uddiyana bond. And then the third lock is the neck lock, and we call that Halahandhara bond. And I may have said those wrong, but that's not important. So basically the reason we have these different bonds is so that we can pull the energy from these lower three chakras up into the higher chakras. And the idea is that the lower three chakras carry like denser energy from like our emotions. And when we don't pull these emotions up, then we're more likely to act from our emotions rather than like our wisdom. And so the bottom three chakras aren't necessarily negative or positive. They're kind of neutral. So there's positive aspects from the lower three chakras, like it's where our creativity comes from, it's where our kind of like our down to earthness comes from, our relatability. It's also where our willpower comes from. And so these can be positive, but then they can also be where we carry a lot of depression, fear, worry, and some of these emotions that cause us to not be able to act from like a place of wisdom. And so when we can pull these more dense emotions up into the higher chakras, then we can like feel them from a place of love and compassion. We can see them from a place of clarity. When we get to the crown chakra, we could see like the connectedness to all, to everyone, and to like the big picture. And then when we can express it from the throat chakra from a place of like wisdom, our deeper intentions, rather than like reacting out of like an emotional state. And so for me, I noticed the other day I was talking to a friend and I was being really negative about the future, and I'm not really surprised since I'm in like, I think at that point I was on like day 4 of the Sat Kriya, and so I'm obviously like pulling up some of these deeper, denser emotions from my bottom chakras. And so I think that's kind of why I was feeling this state of fear and worry and anxiety about what's to come in the next few months. And it was, to me, it made me realize like this is why I do the meditations, is because this isn't the place I want to act from. I want to be able to take these like heavier emotions and I want to acknowledge them, but I also want to be able to transform them so that I'm not stuck in this place of fear and worry and depression and all of that stuff, but instead I'm able to kind of see the big picture and see it from a place of wisdom and add some compassion to it, and then be able to express it from like a deeper place within rather than just like vomiting worry onto someone. And so that's kind of what we're going to work with today. I'm going to get in a lot more depth about how we create these bonds and then how we pull that energy up. So with that being said, let's just take a nice comfortable seat. If you have a block or a strap handy, great. We're going to use the strap at the end. So if you don't have a strap, you may want to grab like a scarf or a sock or something. And then I like to use a blanket to sit up on and then like place it under my knees as I go. So if you have a nice blanket handy, that'd be good too. So get a nice comfortable seat, close the eyes, and just begin to settle into the body. And I want you to notice some of those denser layers in the body, like what is the tissues saying, and is there any areas that feel tight or sore, and just kind of start to recognize these denser layers in the body first. Great. Now we're going to shift our energy into the more subtle parts of ourselves. So this is where the subtle parts are kind of more the parts we can't really see, like maybe our breath. You can start focusing on the breath. I like to follow the breath as it comes in, pulling the breath down, filling the belly, and then follow the breath out. Exhale, pull the navel in. Good. Take a deep inhale, filling the belly first, and then the lungs. Good. Notice even more subtleness, like your thoughts, your feelings. Notice if you're thinking about the past, which is usually depression. Or notice if you're worrying about the future. This is usually me. This shows up as anxiety. And then notice if you can bring yourself back into the center, into yourself, into the space where you're able to connect with the denser layers and the subtle layers, the in-between. And every time the mind starts to wander, see if you can pull it back. Bring it, the awareness back into the breath, back into the body. And it's kind of just a practice, and we get better and better at it as we practice. I've been meditating now consistently for over a year, and my mind still wanders all the time, and I'm constantly pulling it back. And I'm only just a little bit better than I was a year ago, but I have made improvement. But know that it's a slow, long process. But the good news is we have the rest of our lives to develop this skill. Good, and then bring the hands into the heart center. And we'll start class with one Om. When we Om, I want you to feel the vibration in the body and feel how that vibration starts to tune all the different layers of yourself, the dense layers and up into the subtle layers. So we'll take 3 deep inhales through the nose. Deep inhale. Suspend the breath at the top. And exhale out the mouth. And again, deep inhale through the nose. Hold the breath. Exhale out the mouth. Deep inhale through the nose. Hold the breath. And exhale. And then on this inhale, we'll take a nice big Om. Deep inhale. Okay, and then you bring your hands down. So the first bond, so just stay in a comfortable seat. The first bond is at the navel. And what this is we pull the navel in and then we lift the pelvic floor up. So you're like pulling the pelvic floor up as the navel comes in. And this is called Mula Band. It's kind of like doing a Kegel, if that helps. But what it does is it condenses all of these like lower energies into the center of the navel. And then the navel acts like a lever, and it pushes, as we pull the navel in, it pushes this energy up. And so lever, what we usually use the lever for is to like move something that is really hard to move. So like if something's really heavy, we'll put a lever to it to make it easier to move. And that's kind of the same idea. Like a lot of these lower emotions are really heavy. So we need the strength of the lever or the navel to pull them up. And then the second bond is at the heart, and what this is we want to lift the heart, but we don't want to lift the heart so much that the ribs come out, because then we don't have this like connectedness between the navel and the heart. So I like to pull the navel in and like make this connectedness to my heart. Like imagine my ribs tucking in, my navel and heart connecting, and then I start to lift my heart. But I don't want to lose this heart core anchor, and that's what I'm going to call it throughout the class today, is this heart core anchor, where the navel and the heart kind of anchor in right here, but the heart still lifts up. And then the third bond is at the neck. And so what it is when we pull the chin in, so it's almost like you're squeezing. I like to imagine I have like an orange right here, and I'm like squeezing the orange with my neck. And what it does is it lengthens the back of the spine right here. So usually our head kind of tilts forward and we have this indent. So if you feel the back of your neck, you'll feel an indent right there. And then now pull the chin in like you're squeezing that orange, and you'll feel this space on the back of the neck flatten and get longer. And that is your neck lock. And so I'm going to talk about these more and more throughout class, but what it does is it pulls the spine long and it helps this energy move up. So first, come to your hands and knees, and we're going to do some cat cows. I like to put a blanket underneath my knees. If you're on carpet, you probably don't need to. And then we're going to do some cat cows. So first we're going to inhale, arch the back and look up. And then exhale, round the back and go forward. And then inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. And then just start to move at your own pace here, remembering to inhale up, exhale back. Now what this does is it makes the spine supple, the spine can move that energy more easily. We're just kind of working out any of the kinks. Try to round more in places that you don't round as much in. So for me, that's going to be more of my middle of the back. And then as you arch, see if you can arch more probably at the heart. Most of us are more likely to arch at the middle of the back and the lower back. So we want to try to bend in the areas we don't normally bend. You can imagine like a hanger, and when you bend a hanger over and over again, and this like a metal hanger in the same spot, it'll eventually break. And so what we want to do is bend more in the places we don't normally bend, so we're not going to break. We want to bend, not break. Just a little bit longer. Remember to inhale up, exhale down. Moving at your own pace. Good, and then come into a neutral spine. No! My dog's talking to us. Now push up into downward facing dog. And pedal the feet here a little bit. And wake up the legs. And notice different sensations in the body. Good, and then on the inhale, step the feet forward and fold forward. Put a pretty big bend in the knees for this first forward fold. You can just kind of hug in. Now try to lift the sit bones a little higher as you round in. Good, and then on the inhale, we'll bring the hands to the top of the thighs. We'll push the thighs back and we'll extend the heart forward. Good, exhale, fold forward. And then on the inhale, we're gonna hinge at the hips, coming all the way up to standing. You can move your blanket just for a second. We're gonna use it in just a minute, so keep it nearby. And then go ahead and just reach the arms up, stretch up. Do a little side stretch round. Good, come back to center. And now we're gonna sit back like we're sitting in a chair. So I'll show you from this direction. Sit back, chair. Good, now bring the hands to the top of the thighs, and we're gonna do cat cows here again. So we're gonna inhale, arch the head up, sit bones move back, and then exhale, round forward. And then move at your own pace. Inhale, arch the back up. Exhale into cat, round forward. Good, couple more times. Remember to try to bend more at the heart. Good, and then on the next inhale, hold it here so that you're in your cow. And then we're gonna pull the navel in. And what this does is it kind of flattens this lower back, so we're not arching so much in the lower back. In the middle of the back, as we pull the navel in, it'll start to flatten this lower back. And then we're gonna lift the heart. But as we lift the heart, we don't want the ribs to completely come out so that we're back into this huge arch. We want the navel in, ribs stay in just slightly, but the heart and chest open. And then we bring the arms up. And then squeeze the legs together. Good, and then exhale, Hinging at the hips, fold forward. And then inhale, bring the hands to the top of the thighs, push the thighs back, extend the heart forward, pull the shoulder blades down the back, pull the navel in so that this lower back is protected, and then exhale, come down, step back into downward facing dog. Good. And then now we're going to lift the right leg up behind us, and we're going to bring the right foot forward, and then we're going to drop the back knee down. So if you need a blanket, I highly suggest grabbing one. Okay, good. Now I want you to push down with this back knee. So first just lean in, which this feels really good on the thigh here, but I want you to push down with that back knee so that the left thigh pulls back, and then bring the arms up. I'm gonna face this way. Bring the arms up. Good. Now bring the right hand to the right hip, lean to the right. Pull the navel in. Make that heart core anchor. Open the heart, and then now we're gonna start to draw the chin back. You can like imagine you're squeezing this orange. Good. And then come to center, switch sides. Keep the navel drawing in. Keep that heart core anchor as you lift the heart open, and then pull the chin in. Good. And back to center. And then we're gonna bring the hands into the goalposts and start to twist to the right. And then we're gonna hook this left elbow onto the right thigh. And then you can take your right hand on top of the left hand. You can start to push this left elbow down as you lift your heart. And then keep pulling the navel in, and then pull the neck back. Good. And then unwind. Step back into a plank. Now we're going to slowly lower all the way down. Press the top of the feet down, knees down, hips down, and then we're going to hover the hands just right here at the armpits as we lift the chest up. Good. Now push the hands down, and then gently push up, and as you come up, drag the hands towards your pants so that you're pulling the heart longer, and you're trying to bend more at the point where the shoulder blades pinch together rather than in the middle or lower back. Good. Come down, push back into downward facing dog. This time we'll lift the left foot up, bring the left foot forward, and then drop the right foot down. So we're in this modified high runner's lunge, and then use a blanket if you need to. Really push down with that back knee, and then push down with that front foot, and you'll feel this energy pull into the center. So like consolidating the energy into the center, and then lift the arms up. Good. And then we'll bring the left hand to the left hip, reach to the left. As you do this, pull the navel in. Make that heart core anchor as you open the heart. I like to actually touch my ribs and see, are they poking way out, or are the ribs cinched in as my heart lifts? And I have to feel it to know. And then I pull my chin in. Good. Switch sides. Into the right. Remember to pull the navel in. Open the chest as you keep those ribs in. Pull the chin back. Good. And then come back to center. Bring the hands into goalposts. Now we'll start to twist to the left. Now we're going to take our right elbow and hook it around this left thigh. And as you do that, notice if your knee is turning in. And if it is, you can pull it directly over the middle toe. And then we bring the left hand on top of the right hand, and then we really push down with that right elbow as we move the chest up. And then keep pulling the navel in and the chin back. See if you can feel this energy move up the spine. Good. And unwind. Bring the hands down. Taking off my, love the snap buttons. Just wipe it off. And then come into downward facing dog. Then step the back. You can move your blanket. We won't use it for a minute. And then step the feet forward. Fold forward. And then on your inhale, bring the hands to the top of the thighs. Push the thighs back as you extend the spine forward. pull the navel in, pull the shoulder blades down the back, and then pull the chin in, making that spine long and straight. Good. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, hinging at the hips, come to standing. Good. Now we're gonna do chair. Gonna stay actually back here. Bring the arms up. Sit back into chair. Good. Now squeeze the legs into the center, almost like you're trying to squeeze the shins in. And then as you squeeze in, see if you can kind of broaden the sit bones out. And what might happen here is you might start to arch a lot in this lower back. So pull the navel in, and then as the heart lifts, try not to completely just bend in this like rib, middle of the back, rib cage area. So try to keep the ribs in and then bend more right here at the heart. Good. And then now we're gonna take the left forearm to the right thigh, bring the right hand on top of the left hand, and then push down. Now notice as you twist, if the left leg is trying to follow you in, so keep pulling that left thigh back, and then pull the navel in and chin back. Good, and then come back to center. We're gonna switch sides now. We're gonna bring the right forearm to the left thigh, keep pulling the right thigh back, left hand comes on top of right hand, and really push this right elbow down into the left thigh to lift the ribs up. Keep drawing the navel in, pulling the chin back. Good. And unwind, fold forward. Good, and then on the inhale, bring the hands to the top of the thighs, push the thighs back as you extend the heart forward. Good, exhale, lower down, step back into downward facing dog. Lift the right leg up behind you. And then maybe even open that right hip up a little bit. And as you do this, notice if the right chest lifts up, and if it does, square the chest with the mat as your right leg reaches back behind you. I like to flex my foot and like almost like I'm pushing something away. Keep my leg bent. Good, now bring the right foot to the front of the mat. And we'll come up into a high runner's lunge. And always adjust your stance as needed. You don't have to stay wherever you come up. Good, I'm gonna come this way. Now bring the arms up. And then really push down with the feet. Pull the navel in. Pull that heart in first, creating that root lock, and then start to lift the chest up without losing that heart core engagement right here. And then pull the chin back. Good, now we're gonna really push down with this front heel and come up to balance on one foot. And you can always like balance in tree with your foot at the ankle, foot at the shin, not the knee, but you can come up onto the inner thigh as well. Just be wherever you're at, and then see if you can pull the navel in, pull that heart core anchor as you lift the chest up, and then pull the chin in. Start to feel that energy flow all the way from the bottom of your foot up the spine, and imagine it coming up into that crown chakra, which is right here at the base of your skull. And if you fall, that's okay. Good, and then step back into a high runner's lunge. Good, and then we're gonna open up into second warrior. I'm gonna move this a little bit. Okay, good, and again, if you feel like you need to take a little shorter of a stance or a longer stance, adjust as we go. Now really notice first where the front knee is at. Make sure that it's pointing directly over the middle toe. And then really press down with the legs. And as you press down, see if the spine kind of lifts up, and then pull the navel in, lift the heart without losing this anchor, pull the chin in, and then we're gonna keep this engagement as we move back into reverse warrior, and then forward into Parsva. And we'll go back and forth for a second. Really keeping those locks into place as best as we can as we move side to side. When we pull the energy up from these lower three chakras, then we're more likely to act from our heart rather than from like worry and fear. And good. Now bring the left hand down to the mat, and then we're gonna start to twist open to the right. And you can bring the right arm up or keep it at your hip. Good, and then unwind, bring both hands to the mat. Lower down all the way, feet down, knees down, hips down, and then we push up into a cobra. Instead of just bending into the lower back here, we're gonna pull the navel in, drag the hands towards our pants, and pull the heart forward, and then keep trying to keep that heart core engagement. And as you do this, this will allow you to bend more at the shoulder blades. Good, lower down. Oh, and then also pull the chin back. So instead of having your chin way out here, we're gonna pull the chin. Good, lower down, push back into downward facing dog. Lift the left leg up behind you. And then we'll start to open that hip as we push the left foot back. And then as you did this, notice if the left chest lifted. Mine did. And so I'm gonna square off my chest as I open my legs up. And this is a nice psoas stretch, which is I've been having a lot of problems with my psoas. So if that's you, that's a good one. Step the left foot forward. Yeah, come up into a high runner's lunge. I'm gonna come this way. Good. Remember to adjust your stance as you need. Really press the feet down and like squeeze them into the center. So we're pulling all of our energy into the center, and then we pull the navel in. Connect that heart core as we lift our chest up. Bring the arms up and then pull the neck in. Now really push down with the left heel, and just using that left glute, come up and bounce. Good, and then you can bring your hands to your ankle, shin, or the thigh. But remember, not the knee. I'm gonna fall over. So find your spot, and then pull in the navel, pull in that heart core anchor to lift the chest, pull the chin in, start to feel that energy move up the spine, pulling those, concentrating all the energy into the center. So you pull it up, and if you fall out, just come back in. Good. And unwind, step back into a high runner's lunge, and then we're gonna open up into second warrior. So in second warrior, my big thing is that my knee will turn in. And this is like tweaking my knee and doing more damage than good. So I wanna make sure that my knee is pointing directly over that middle toe. Good, and then bring the arms up. Now push down with the feet and squeeze energy into the center. And as you do this, you're concentrating all the energy right here into the hips. Then we pull the navel up, connect that heart core anchor as we lift the chest, draw the chin in, and then we're gonna move back and forth. Go reverse, and then Parsvakonasana, and then reverse. As you do this, see if you can keep pulling the navel in and creating those locks. So the chin comes back. You can even pause for a second in each spot as you line it up. Good, one more time. Keep moving through. Good. Last one. Great, now bring the right hand down to the mat. And then we're gonna bring the left hand to the left hip and start to twist open. And then bring the left arm up. Feel yourself twisting out any like old stagnant energy as you move this energy up into more subtleness. Good, and unwind. Now we're going to come into the straddle position. If you have a block, you could grab the block and balance on the block first. So before we fold forward, put a bend in the knees, and first round your pubis forward like when we were doing cat, and then move the pubis back like cow. And then round it forward one more time like cat. And then move the pubis back like cow. And so we want to make sure that the lower back is not rounding. So if you need to come up a little higher, that's totally fine. Now the other thing that'll happen is that we'll arch too much in the lower back. So I want you to fill your back. And if that dent is really deep in the lower back, then you're arching too much. And the fix for that is to pull that navel in. And if you push into the block or you push into the floor, you'll start to feel the ribs engage and come into that navel. And then keeping that lock, you'll stretch the heart forward. Good. And then now we're just gonna bow in as much as we can. Try not to round too much of the lower back. You want to keep pulling the sit bones back like cow as you pull the navel in, and then pull the chin in. Great. Now we're gonna take the left hand and reach it towards the right foot. If it doesn't get all the way there, this is fine. And then bring your right hand up to the hip and just start to twist. Now notice if the left hip followed, and if it did, pull it back to the left. And just take some deep breaths here. And then walk it back to center. And then fold forward, and then take this chance to kind of go deeper into the pose. So now we've set up the alignment, and then now take in the experience. One of the ways I like to do that is by looking into my third eye space, and then chanting Sa on the inhale, Nam on the exhale. Good. Now take the right hand, reach it towards the left foot. You can get all the way there, you can just bring it about wherever it's going to reach, and then bring the left hand up, pull the right hip back to the right, and then start to twist to the left. So when we pull the energy from the bottom 3 chakras up into our third eye space, we develop our intuition. And our intuition isn't like being psychic. It's just using our inner wisdom so we know what the next right thing to do is. Then you can unwind. Now we're gonna come up like this, and then we're gonna turn the right foot forward. So the right foot faces forward, left foot faces straight ahead. And then hinging at the hips, we're gonna start to come down into triangle. And you're welcome to use your shin or a block. And you can bring it on the inside or the outside, or just stay on your shin. But we want to make sure we're hinging at here, so we're not just like collapsing, but we're hinging. So the hips move back as the heart moves forward, and then we pull the navel in, and then we lift the heart. Good, and then we bring the arm up. And then as you do this, pull the navel in, connect that heart core anchor, lift the heart without losing the anchor, and then pull the chin back like you're squeezing that orange. And see if you can feel the energy just moving through you. So we create this really hard layer by pushing down, drawing all of our bonds in, and then after that we see if we can soften the skin around the face, the skin around the chest. And so this like muscle energy in Anusara Yoga is called muscle energy, and then the softening is called organic energy. Good. Now put a bend in the front knee, and if you have a block, great. You're gonna bring it about 45 degrees from the front foot, and you're gonna push up into half moon. And if you don't have a block, totally fine. Just use your hand. But let's go up and down. Up, down, up, down. Last time, go up and hold, pull the navel in, pull the heart energy, lift the chest, pull the chin in, and then bring the arm up. Good, and then step back down, come all the way up into the straddle. Now we're going to turn the left foot forward, back foot points straight forward. And then we're going to hinge at the hips. So as we hinge, this means the hips move back as the heart moves forward. There's this book by Matthew Kelly called perfectly yourself. If you have a block, go ahead and use it. Push your hands into the block. So the ribs lift, arm comes up, pull the navel in, lift the heart as you keep that heart core anchor, and then pull the chin in. In his book, he talks about, instead of worrying about the future, all you have to do is just do the next right thing. So as circumstances come up, then your goal is to just do the next right thing. And as we develop this like intuitive mind, we start to, that's like the superpower we develop, is we always know what the next right thing is. As we strengthen this like neutral mind or meditative mind or intuitive mind, it helps us access our deep inner wisdom. Good, now we're gonna bring the block about 45 degrees from that front foot. If you have the block, great. If not, just use your hand. We're gonna go up and down. And if this is really hard for you, don't worry about it. It's all for fun. This is about the experience, and it's not about creating the perfect pose. Last time, come up and hold. Put a small bend in your standing leg. Really push down as you lift this ribs up. Pull the navel in. Make that heart core anchor as you open the chest, and then draw the chin in. And if you fall down or you're just not doing that great, see if instead of getting upset with yourself, if you can jump back in and try to focus on the neutral mind, looking into that third eye space. You can even go saw on the inhale, not on the exhale. Very good, and then unwind. And then come into a forward fold, and then just kind of shake the knees out a little bit, wiggle around, shake it out, and then come all the way up to standing, shake it out again. This is like my new favorite thing. You just move it all around. Good. So now we're gonna come back into, so I'm gonna come a little bit forward. So if you wanna come to the front of your mat, and then we're gonna sit back into chair. Good. Now we're gonna bring the left forearm to that right thigh. As you do this, make sure the hips stay square. Bring the right hand on top of the left hand, really push down and start to twist. Now you can stay here, or if you want, you can try to bring this left leg back behind you. And if you fall over like me when you did it, totally fine. And then if you don't want to do that, you can bring your hands down, step the back leg back, and then practice twisting like this. Good, and then we're gonna open up into a high runner lunge. Good, and then from the high runner's lunge, open up into second warrior. And then really press down with the feet, pull the energy into the center, and then pull the navel in so you're pulling this energy up. Create that heart core anchor as you lift the heart, pull the chin back, lean back into reverse warrior. Good, and then come back to center. Come forward into Parsvakonasana. Really push down with the right forearm so that the left ribs lift. Keep the navel drawing in, chin drawing back. Good, and then now, if you have a block, grab it. If not, just bring the hand down to the mat. Bring the block about a 45-degree angle out, and then push up into half moon. Pull the navel in. Really push down, lift the heart, open up. Good, and then you're like shining out all directions. So I'm gonna step the back foot down, bring the left hand to the mat, and then twist open to the right. And then you can stay here. You can drop the back foot down, kickstand it, bring the right leg out, and open up into gatekeeper. Pull the navel in, open the heart, and draw the chin in. And unwind. And then grab a block if you have one and sit back and just take a minute to meditate. Start to develop the space between the third eye. You can do that by looking into the third eye space. And what it does is every time that we go into this meditative mind or neutral mind, is we build the neural pathways to access this mind easier. And so when we find ourselves in circumstances where we have a lot of fear and worry, it will be easier for us to move the energy into the neutral mind so that we can react from a deeper place within, from our intuition. Rather than from our emotions. Good. And then we're going to come back to standing. Good. And we're going to sit back into chair. And now we're going to bring our right forearm down to the left thigh. Keep the hips square. Good. And then really push down with the left hand into the right hand as you push the right forearm into the thigh as you twist open. And then you can stay here, or you can try to bring the right leg back into a lunge. And if you need, you can just put the hands down on the mat and pull that right leg back and then come into this twist. And it's okay if you don't do it perfect, because we're just using these poses as a tool to pull these lower energies up the spine, and that's what the goal is. The goal is not to have a perfect pose. Good, and then we're gonna come into a high runner's lunge. And then from there, open up into second warrior. And then pull the navel in, lift at the heart without letting those ribs come out, and keep that anchor. Pull the chin and then lean back into reverse warrior. Good, and then come forward. Bring the left forearm to the left thigh into Parsvakonasana. And then push down with the left arm to lift the left ribs and bring the arm up. And then maybe close the eyes, look into the third eye space, and say Sat on the inhale, Nam on the exhale. And this is how we develop our intuitive mind, so that we'll be able to access it easier and easier and get out of reacting from like our dense emotions. And then we can start to act from like an intuition or a third eye space. We want to be guided by our intuition and not our feelings. Great, now if you have a block handy, grab it, bring about 45-degree angle, push up into half moon. And then wherever you're at in half moon is totally fine. Just do the best you can. Keep a small bend in the knee so you're not hyperextending. Pull the navel in, open the heart without losing your anchor, and then pull the chin in and feel that energy move up and then out. And that's the organic energy. Muscle energy is dense, it's how we pull our energy into the center, and then organic energy is how we express it out in these like subtle energetic forms. Good, and then step the right leg back, bring the right hand down to the mat, twist open to the left, bring the left arm up. Good, bring the back foot knee, or right knee down, kickstand out, bring the left foot to the side and open up into gatekeeper. And just shine out in all directions. Good, and unwind. All right, now we're gonna bring, if you have a blanket handy, we're gonna bring our blanket to sit up on. I like to always sit on a blanket so I can get my hips just a little bit higher than my legs. This helps me get out of rounding my lower back a bunch. And then we're gonna come into a straddle. So bring the legs out to the side, like this. Good. And then if you have a strap handy, or a scarf, or a sock, we're definitely going to use this. So I don't do this straddle stretch enough. I was in a yoga class the other day and I realized that I haven't been stretching because this very well because of my back, and so this is an area I need to work on. So take the strap and place it around the right leg, and then your just hands are to the side, and then we're gonna turn our chest towards the right thigh and start to pull ourselves down. Now don't round like this. I want instead your heart to be lifted, the navel drawing in, chin comes in, and you start to bow forward, keeping all these locks into place. And you can even take the left hand, both straps in the left hand, and then take the right hand to the side and then push down with the right hand as you keep drawing the navel in, lifting the chest, and then pulling the chin back. Make sure the legs are strong and the heels are digging down into the earth. So you have this like muscle energy drawing in, and then see if you can soften the muscles around the face. So we don't want to come to yoga and like develop wrinkles. We want to come to yoga and soften the face. And then see if you can go just a little deeper. Keeping that heart lifted. Good. Now we're going to switch sides. So take your strap. Place it around the left foot. This is the side that I'm not as flexible on, so you'll notice probably a tighter side too. So remember, we want to press down with the sit bones. Good. Press down with the heels. Keep the legs strong. And then we're going to draw the navel in. Hit that heart core anchor as we lift the heart up, and then pull the chin in. And we want to keep this extension as we start to pull ourselves towards the left. And then I like to take the straps into my right hand, bring my left hand down, and really push my left hand down to lift those, like, kind of tighten those ribs in, and then keep pulling the heart out. Navel in, and then chin, like you're squeezing that orange. And pull down. I can tell when I'm like reacting more from my emotions because I'll like be yelling or like my voice gets really kind of like excited, and I'll feel a little bit out of control. Like I won't know what I'm gonna do next, so it's like harder for me to know the next right thing. But when I'm acting more for my intuition, I can tell because I'm calmer, I'm more centered, and I feel like more of this connection to like, okay, what outcome am I looking for right now, and what's the best way to get that outcome? Good, I'm gonna come up. So a great example of this is with my children. When my kids do something that angers me. So now we're gonna just gently walk our hands forward. And make sure you keep the heels digging down. So you have this like small bend in the knees. We're not totally hyperextending, but the legs are strong. And then we're gonna keep the navel pulling in. And then we gotta make that heart core anchor as we lift the heart. And then draw the chin, and then we start to come down. But my kids will definitely trigger me probably faster than just about anyone other than like, you know, your boyfriend or girlfriend or significant other. But I notice that when I'm yelling at my kids, I feel out of control, and I sometimes say things I don't really mean. So sometimes when I feel that way, I'll just take a minute and go like, take a few deep breaths so that I can come back and be in a centered place with my kids, even if they're driving me nuts. But I'll be able to respond to them from a place of love and kindness and compassion, and from like my deeper intentions, and I'll be able to express it in a way that feels true to me. And this is like my throat chakra opening up in a way that supports my wisdom, my deeper wisdom and my love and kindness that's deep in my heart. And it also like helps me see like the bigger picture. So I'm not focused on like this very small little moment, but I'm seeing it from like this grand perspective. And I think that's why we do the meditation. That's why we do yoga, so that we can start to access this like deeper place within and develop our wisdom and our intuition so that we know what that is. And we're not just constantly being guided by our emotions, because our emotions are really dense. And we want to get them up into these lighter areas that can be more subtle and not so like heavy, if you know what I mean. Good. And then come out, shake the legs, and then now we're going to do a meditation before we do our Shavasana. And this meditation is the one that I posted for our group to do. So it's the Sat Kriya. So you can either take a blanket and put it between your legs like this, or you can put a block between your legs like this, or if you need to, you can sit up in a chair. We're going to do this for 3 minutes. We're going to bring the hands together so they clasp around, and then the 2 pointer fingers, or the Jupiter fingers, come up, and then the left thumb goes around the right thumb if you identify as a woman, and the right thumb goes around the left thumb if you identify as a man. And then we're going to pull the arms up. And then before we start, we want to first get all of our locks into place. So when we pull the navel in, you also want to lift the pelvic floor. And then get that heart core anchor as you lift the heart up. And then draw the chin in like you're squeezing an orange. And then we're going to say Sat Nam. Sat Nam. And as you say Sat, pull the navel in, and then as you exhale, Nam, the navel comes out. It's not really exhale, as you let the navel out, you say Nam. So Sat Nam, like that. And we're going to take a deep inhale through the nose. Get all your locks, pull that perineum up and in. Good, and then exhale, and we begin Sat Nam, 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 Sat Nam. Make sure that this movement's coming from the navel and not just like rounding the body in. Sat Nam, Sat Nam, Sat Nam. Arms are straight and reaching up as you pull the shoulder blades down. The arms reach up. Sat Nam, Sat Nam, Sat Nam, Sat Nam, Sat Nam, Sat Nam, Sat Nam. As you do this, the navel, as you pull the navel in, it may start to feel kind of annoying or irritating. But I promise you, over time, that goes away, and it feels actually really strengthening. Sat Nam, Sat Nam, Sat Nam, Sat Nam. Really using the power of the navel or the power of the lever to pull these dense emotions from the bottom 3 chakras up into the higher chakras. Sat Nam, Sat Nam, Sat Nam, Sat Nam, Sat Nam, Sat Nam. Halfway there. Sat Nam, 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 Sat Nam. Eventually your mind will start to feel resistance, and as you do, just recommit. Look into the third eye space. Sat Nam, Sat Nam, Sat Nam, Sat Nam. As we push past the resistance, this is where the magic happens. This is where the change and the transformation happens, because the subconscious doesn't want to change. It wants to keep things the way that they are. And so when you feel this resistance, this is the subconscious resisting. Push past it, and the subconscious will change. Sat Nam, Sat Nam. Sat. 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 Nam. 30 seconds to go. Sat. Nam. Sat. Nam. Sat. Nam. Sat. Nam. Sat. Nam. Sat. Nam. Almost there. Sat. Nam. Sat. Nam. Sat. Nam. Sat. Nam. Sat. Nam. Okay, good. Now take a deep inhale through the nose. Squeeze the energy into the center. Pull the navel in. Lift the root lock. Lift the pelvic floor up. Pull the navel in. Pull the energy up the spine. Look into the third eye space where energy, where your direction, attention goes, energy flows. All right, exhale, holding the posture. Take another deep inhale through the nose. And then exhale all the way out through the nose. And then hold the air out as you pull the navel in, lift the pelvic floor, squeeze the energy into that center, squeeze so much you shake. Look into the third eye space, squeeze. Good, and then take a deep inhale. And exhale, sweep the hands through your auric field. Bring the hands down to the lap. And then just take a minute to meditate. Remember to look into the third eye space where your attention goes, energy flows. And open the eyes. And then now we want to make sure that we rest for as long as we do that meditation so that we can let all of that energy transformation that happens settle in. So take a moment, pause the video, lay on your back and do Shavasana for anywhere from like 5 to 10 minutes with the blanket around you, and just let all that energy circulate and start to settle in. We don't really want to like move too quickly through our meditations because we want that energy to be able to stabilize. And so if we try to move through this too quickly, that energy won't be able to stabilize and still feel like unsettled. So that's why it's great to start with this for 3 minutes and then just slowly work your way up to 11 minutes of that Sakriya. So now, after you're done pausing the video, meet me into a seated meditation. Good. And now bring your hands into the heart center. Push your chest into your thumbs and your thumbs into your chest. And then take a few deep breaths. Get back into the body. And we'll end with one final So we'll take a deep inhale and deep inhale. And then listen to the cosmic echo.